Hey everyone, hope you're having an awesome Thursday. Shots are taking it down. Are the fans going to show up? Clemson is not dead yet. Passing game issues and the effects on recruiting. All that plus your comments tonight on the All Clemson Tigers radio show. Hey, hope everyone is having a great Thursday. Let's start this Thursday with a little, what's going on in Townsville Thursday talk. Because
The trials and
you,
tribulations of JP.
yeah, I like that. So let's hear a little bit about your day. Because apparently you have had a hell of a day. And I'm sure some of our Tiger fans out there who are still grieving the loss to Duke would like a little encouragement.
Or rather some comic relief. Yeah, we are having some vehicle issues, like at a high level here. We got three vehicles, mine, my wife's, my oldest daughter's. Had to put the wife's car back in the shop day before yesterday due to something still lingering from when she wrecked during the storm. It's still not ready. Had to put my daughter's car in the shop today. It just needed an oil change, but then we start hearing something, and turns out she needs a new wheel bearing. Then on the way to drop hers off, my truck starts making some ferocious noise. I got no idea what it is. So after we pick hers up, got to drop my truck off. So it's just been one thing after another, and I'm over here without two of our vehicles. I'm not even sure how my wife's gonna get to work in the morning, because one's got to go to school, one's got to go to work, and right about the same time.
Hey, yeah, it's one of those things where, like, you hate to laugh at you, but sometimes that's all you can do is
That's all you
laugh at
can.
the
You got to just,
situation.
if you can't laugh at yourself and make light of some of this stuff, man, it'll drive you crazy. And that's what I do. It's just it. My wife's the total opposite. She probably won't sleep tonight because she'll be so worried about this and worried about that and worried about. I'm the exact opposite. It's gonna roll off. You can't control what you can't control. That's the way I look at it. At some
Gene,
point, the worm's going to turn.
Gene too gets in and asked if you had the inspirational channel on your TV. I actually have that on mine as well as, Daystar and all those. So sometimes, if you're looking for something just a little bit uplifting, you you may have to find that channel.
That might be something I need to put my wife on.
All right. Well, listen, we have tons of stuff to get into tonight. As always, you drive this show just like, every other show on here. You want your comments, your questions, all that stuff. And, be sure to like and subscribe. All right, it helps us out. Get this show and all of our content out to more and more people. So do us a huge favor and hit that. I ordered some stuff today. Yeah, you have seen it. All right, I have a photo of it here in the show, so I'll show everyone. these shirts are coming. They are coming in a variety of sizes, and they will be available for purchase at our live show that Friday night. Yeah, if there is not a cooler looking shirt than that, you'll have to find one because I think that looks sweet. I think it's very accurate to Notre Dame and the way that they. Let's see here. I ain't getting click happy. So those shirts will be available at our live pregame show that Friday night. As always, want to remind everyone that tomorrow night at 4:30 we will be live at Magnetic South in Anderson again. It was an awesome time last week. Lots of people came out and saw us, and we gave away some swag. And honestly, that is one of the coolest places that I could imagine hosting a show because there is stuff for everyone. There is, you know, drinks and food and games and stuff for the kids. There's also, beer and food for the adults. And it is honestly one of the coolest places I have been.
I can't wait to go. I've not been there yet. I'll be there in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Or not, it's not, I'll be there the weekend of the Florida State game, so not even 2 weeks now. Well, yeah, about 2 weeks.
Mm, yeah. So John gets in with us talking about the uh, press getting on to Dabo pretty good. Hope something good comes out of it. That is actually where I wanted to kind of start today because Joe Klatt, not sure if you're familiar with him, he is CBS's sports guy. He also has his own show, and he came out with some pretty strong feelings on the issues that Clemson is experiencing, and the reason for those. And listen, he is just one of many. He is he is one of I'm sorry, a lot of the national guys who are coming out and saying the dynasty is dead. Uh, Clemson's done. They are back to mediocre. And all that garbage. So I want to play this clip. It's I think it's around 2 minutes, and then let's get our thoughts on it.
Personnel issue at Clemson. Maybe that's the fact that Dabo has not adjusted or adapted as it relates to staff. I mean, he kept the same staff forever. And, I kind of commend him for that, to be quite honest with you. Those men got him to the mountaintop, and then he kept them there for a long time. But the fact remains, they were not recruiting at the same level. All right. Now, a lot of factors in that, but their personnel right now is not where it needs to be on the field. They have not acquired the talent nor developed the talent to play at the upper echelons of college football, because that's the expectation, right? For Clemson, I think that it is, in particular when you've got a track record of 2 national titles since 2015 and 6 straight playoffs from 15 to 2020. That's what we expect. Now we get into the second part of this, which is the failing to adapt. This can happen for a coaching staff on the field. It can happen off the field. I think it's clear painfully that Clemson has both failed to adapt on and off the field. Dabo is unapologetically against NIL and transfer portal, completely against it, will not embrace it. He has been so public about this that it's going to end up hurting him, because the fan base, if you're a Clemson fan, you're like, hold on, man, you can't play Monopoly and decide on your own that you're not going to buy any houses on the property you own because you don't think it's right while everybody else buys houses. You're going to lose. There's no other way around that. You can stand on principle, or in this case, his principle, which, by the way, none of it is against the rules. So it's his principle. You will lose. It's really a bottom line proposition. And we've seen this time after time after time in the history of college football. Let me just give you like some examples of this. We're seeing this in real time, but it's happened with other issues that programs failed to adapt to throughout history. And I've talked about this sometimes, but let's just talk about these two issues, right? Whether it's personnel and or adapting. Nebraska, they didn't adapt for a long time from a schematic standpoint. Then all of a sudden they freaked out and went a different direction in personnel, and you see what's happened to them. Bill Callahan. Texas, I think the same thing happened. I've mentioned that.
So, obviously I learned that if you're going to have a show and, take stupid shots and, not know what the hell you're talking about, that you are supposed to have a pen in your hand and you just kind of wave it around. So, I mean, if there was not a more ignorant, a short-sighted viewpoint of Clemson, as well as Dabo, I don't know what is. I mean, the issue is, okay, they have embraced NIL. They have an NIL coordinator. They have an entire section of their facility dedicated to the NIL. And the transfer portal, he has tried. You had guys, come back last year that you weren't expecting, and that take scholarships. Also, we know that 2 years ago, for a fact, they reached out and offered multiple linemen, and they chose to go other places. There is nothing that he has done that has said he is not willing to use the portal. And this guy who obviously has a great following, is a a big name out there in the college football world, is a joke. Because if you're going to make statements like that, you had better be able to back it up. And Dabo's track record saying he's against the NIL is a joke. Look, Dave Yagale came on Twitter hot and heavy, accusing Dabo of being anti-NIL, anti-transfer. I think, Dabo let DJ go and do his, Bojangles thing, his Dr. Pepper thing, and never said a word about it. So this guy is a joke, I think. He has a terrible take on this, and that is my thought. And, I now know that when I have takes, I have to hold a pen in my hand and shake it around like I'm Lee Corso or something. Your thoughts? My soapbox is done with this Joker.
Yeah, somebody's going to have to show me where Dabo has unapologetically come out against NIL, because that's what he said, that Dabo has unapologetically come out against NIL. Somebody's got to show me that. I've heard quite the opposite, in fact. DJ was one of the biggest benefactors of NIL, particularly his first year at Clemson. I mean, he had a national deal with a national brand there with Dr. Pepper. It doesn't get much bigger than that. Clemson built the first of its kind NFL Institute or NIL Institute there on the back of the football facility. I don't think that Dabo's against NIL. I think he was a little slow to come around to the portal. I think he's there now. Like you said, they chased a couple offensive linemen after 2021. They had every intention on chasing some guys after last season, just didn't work out. And you can, point to roster management. Maybe that's a whole different discussion. But when you're dealing with COVID years and stuff, I mean, it makes it a little bit more tricky. But I get some of the roster management stuff. But it's easy to say in hindsight, after the fact. One thing I will maybe halfway agree with, there's not a lot of experience on this coaching staff. He talked about the guys that stayed around for a long time, and you look at some of the guys that left and who they were replaced with. Todd Griffin doesn't have a lot of experience. C.J. Spiller doesn't have a lot of experience. Kyle Richardson, came straight from high school. Mickey Constant came straight from high school. So, I mean, it's not like they have a bunch of veteran assistants lining the coaching staff. I mean, that's about the only factual thing he said.
Yeah. Now, in some of that, though, in fact, all of that is on the fact that, the coaches that were here either retired or took head coaching jobs. I mean, Riley Caldwell retired. Dan Rooks retired. Jeff Scott, coaching job. Tony Elliott, coaching job. I mean, so it's not like these guys are, leaving because, they hate it or anything like that. And I think Dow truly did the best he could. I mean, some arguments could be made around the defensive coordinator position. When a guy like Mills leaves, you had to know that there were DCs across the nation lining up to take the job. However, he went in-house with Wes Goodwin, who had never coached a game. So that is the only one that I really have an issue with. I mean, CJ Spiller, coaching running backs, the only knock on him could be his inability to land the top guy there or something like that. I mean, you can't say that he hasn't developed his room and his talent. Tyler Grisham is the guy that I think when everyone talks about the coaching staff and coaching experience and where these issues are, I think he is the one that they're really talking about. No one is mentioning Nick Eason. No one is mentioning Lansky Hall. Those guys. Even Khan. I mean, yeah, he came from high school, but the safeties have, he has developed guys into NFL type, safeties. So I think it falls more on Grisham, but the transfer issues and that kind of stuff, that is a joke. Roster management, like you said, that is stuff that can't really be helped. Clemson is not going to oversign they are not going to, give uncommitted offers. They also are not going to get any scholarships. That is something that I think a lot of fans need to understand. At other schools, scholarships are year by year renewing things. So, no scholarship is guaranteed for more than a year.
Exactly. They're always year to year. And I see this comment down here that says Dabo could get rid of the Venables, Sweeney's, Herbstreit players, and that would open up some scholarships for transfer. That ain't true. There are 3 former walk-ons currently on scholarship. Your backup quarterback, Hunter Helms, your long snapper, and I'm not sure which one. I can't remember which one got the scholarship. And your third string running back, Dominique Thomas. No Sweeney is on scholarship. No Herbstreit player has ever been on scholarship. Tyler Venables is on scholarship. I mean, if you want to yank his scholarship for whatever reason, I'm not sure why you would. He's kind of been a productive player in this on the back end of that defense. That of all those guys you mentioned, I don't even, none of those are on scholarship except for Tyler Venables. So it would not open up all these spots, man. I get it. Dabo used to save some scholarships a while back, probably a few more than, most people would have cared for. And I kind of weighed in on that myself at times. He's not been doing it at the same rate he used to in the past. Again, there's only 3 former walk-ons with scholarships. It's kind of similar, falls in line with what most other schools do. I looked it up. I mean, I think Alabama's got 3 former walk-ons on scholarship at the moment, or they did last year anyway. I can't say for sure about this season, but that's not all that out of the norm. So I mean, it's not. People are misinformed about who's on scholarship, who's not. I think one of the Sweeney's got a scholarship his final year, maybe. One of the other ones might have been on his final 2 years. I don't know. But none of those guys are on scholarship right now, so it's not going to help you do anything right now. Clemson couldn't go to the portal last year. They couldn't do it. You were 3 over to 85 coming into the spring. All those guys that decided to come back that you were expecting to leave, Root, Tyler Davis, R.J. Minkins, Jalen Phillips, Sheridan Jones, and that's just that's not all of them, but that's 5 guys that you were thinking were leaving, came back. Those spots start filling up fast.
Yeah.
And they count against your roster now. I know they didn't for a year. I can't remember if it was a year or 2 that they didn't count against your, number, but they do now.
Yeah. Yeah. And to your point, a guy like Dominique Thomas has proven his worth.
He's earned his scholarship.
He is your third string running back. And I guarantee you do not want, if God forbid something happens to Shipley and Rafa, you're going to want him on your scholarship. Because look, the other issue is Clemson was still over their scholarship limit almost heading into day 1 of camp because T.J. Dudley was on scholarship. So, I mean, that scholarship right there opened up. I think Dabo said the long snapper.
Yeah, that was what allowed the long snapper to get his back.
Yeah. So, I mean, the scholarship issue, the roster management is a joke. Now, the question is, are these shots at Dabo being too loyal for too long to coaches valid? Because we saw it, with some of the other guys and stuff. However, that is starting to become the narrative, is that he is too loyal to former Tiger players and trying to keep the culture, you know, there where he has his hand on it, you finally, went outside your comfort zone with Gary Riley. Outside him, you have guys that have either grown up as Tigers, were Tigers, or fans of the Tigers, or in some way, shape, or form had, a tie to the program. So is that a knock on him, or is that just, him getting the best coaches that he can?
I think all these coaches were put on notice after last year. It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out. If you don't see massive improvement, I think he's got to take a long, hard look at his coaching staff and see where maybe there are some weak spots and what he can do to address that. Clemson's got I think it's 56 former blue chip players on the roster, if I'm not mistaken. Whatever the number is, it's the most they've ever had under Dabo. I do believe there is a development issue somewhere at some spots. Maybe it's inexperienced coaching. Maybe you miss on some guys. I don't think you miss on all those guys, man. I think that's, like I said yesterday, I think that's almost statistically impossible to miss on everybody. Is he too loyal, too long? I don't know. Grisham's been there. He's been there 3 years now. Spiller's been there a couple. I think Spiller's done a phenomenal job. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking any of these guys, really. I know there was a little knock on Spiller there for a while about not being able to land a running back, and then he goes out and lands Gideon Davidson. But, I depending on what happens the rest of the way, maybe he does have to sit down and do what he did last year. Take a long, hard look at some areas that there might need some areas that need to be addressed, and he might have some more hard decisions to make.
Yeah. Well, obviously, this Clack guy is just one of the national guys taking their shots at Dabo. And look, you knew it was coming. It's like the national media cannot wait for something to happen at Clemson like what happened, Monday night before they were ready to pounce. Dan Wilkin was tweeting out all during the game. He is a notoriously anti-Dabo guy. He is always, ripping Dabo and saying something about his religious beliefs, or even, saying stuff like his Clemson back and stuff. I mean, those jokes happen. These kids aren't perfect. The question is going to be, are the fans ready to show up on Saturday? I am very interested to see the atmosphere pregame. You have the new Tiger Walk there. The Tigers will walk down at noon Saturday. You have still a team that, like you said yesterday, if they win out, which that's a huge if, they are still going to find themselves in the playoffs. So there's still a ton to play for. There's still a ton to cheer for. Will the fans show up on Saturday? I'm already seeing, comments and stuff. Yeah, 68,000, 70,000, because they just are not happy. These kids deserve, airy on TV there. So
You talked about yesterday about Dabo and his message and stuff getting stale, and I was kind of half distracted with the dog and didn't really think about it. And I thought about it more since then. And I said to me, it really matters what the message is inside of the building. But I'm going to kind of backtrack on that a little bit. I do think is at least a part of the fan base that is tired of that same old message. It's getting old. It's getting stale. I've seen it the past 2 days. You can't keep having to putting the same. Let's just call it like it is. The same piss poor product on the field, and keep acting like everything's fine and dandy. It's just a mistake here and a mistake there. Yeah, if Clemson doesn't fumble in the red zone, they score. But you know what? Nobody's talking about if Duke doesn't drop a couple of interceptions or muff a punt. I mean, if both teams play perfect, Duke still wins that game probably. If both teams cut out all their mistakes. I do think some fans are getting a little tired of the same old shtick that comes from Dabo and would like to hear at least a little bit of accountability. To me, again, like I said yesterday, I think the more important thing is the message inside the building, but not everybody thinks like I do. And, that's okay. All fans are different, man. There's no right or wrong way to be a fan. Everybody looks at it different and has different perspectives. I'm not saying somebody's wrong and I'm right or anything. I'm just saying that's not necessarily how I look at it, but I understand how other people look at it, and I understand how the same old message is starting to get lost on people. We'll see how many shows up this weekend. I think, like you said, I think it's going to be interesting. My daughter had no problems finding tickets in the very front row in the lower bowl for free. I don't know if that is good. I don't know if that's a good thing. Those tickets are usually very hard to come by, and if you do find them, they're very expensive, even if it's Florida Atlantic. So we'll see how many people show up. I think these next 2 weeks are very critical for this football team. I think they're very critical for the program as a whole, man. You have got to get some positive vibes going again and get let's say some momentum rolling back on your side.
yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to me to see how these students show up, because we all know that noon or 2 o'clock kickoffs or whatever the hell this game is.
It's a weird one.
Yeah, it's like 2:17 a.m. or something. The thing is, students are notoriously not good about getting to the early games. How many times in the last couple of years have we heard Dabo and players and stuff actually call out these students for not filling up the hill? Now, I understand that there are some logistical issues with the hill and safety issues that have kind of taken away some of the atmosphere. But I can tell you, sitting in the press box, when you see the hill, and it's just a couple of rows deep, and the tires are coming down the hill, it's a sad scene. And I know you have seen it, from the field level, and it's almost, it's almost, it's almost hilarious to watch Dabo come off the bus. He does his, area give, all this raw stuff, which is awesome. I love it. These students, though, it's like, they only care if you are winning and if you are playing a team like FSU or Notre Dame. Those are the only games where I can guarantee these students will be lined up outside the gate. And the second those gates open, they're going to run in. So to me, the fans like Michael, here, who says his family and him will always be at the games before the Tigers, through good and bad. There are lots of these comments right here that we are seeing. You have all these, you know, comments from the adults that say, "Hey, we are going to stick with you. We are going to be there." It's the students that are, because the students bring the energy. So, I mean, if they don't show up on Saturday, I think that could signal an issue with the message that Dabo is sending.
The attendance is not going to be what it could have been this Saturday. Look, I think we can all probably agree with that. I do think
Yeah,
what's
and
happening.
honestly, that doesn't bother me because it makes me get into the stadium and out of it
I
so
told my
much
daughter
easier.
that last night.
So as many of y'all fair weather fans want to sit your ass at home, that is fine with me.
I do think what what's happened to the Hill is kind of sad. I know that they've greatly reduced the number of people that can be on the Hill now, but it's still a bad look. A lot of people outside of the fan base don't realize that number's been greatly reduced, and they see those shots on television and the Hill looks half full, even though technically it is full because that's all that's allowed on there now. Even during big games, it still it never looks full like it used to. It can be a bad look at times, but I am interested to see. I never thought this weekend's game that the place was gonna be packed because it's Florida Atlantic. But yeah, I am a little curious to see how many do. I know at least one person myself who's not coming, who had every intention on coming. He said he's still trying to unpack what he watched Monday night. He ain't got no business. He ain't got no intention of driving down there Saturday. He'll watch on television. So
Yeah, and
I
just
think
so
I
we
think
are
there are a lot of
clear,
fans like that.
yeah, and just so we are clear, it's Charleston Southern this week.
Oh yeah, Charleston Southern. See, I'm still doing it, man. I'm still doing it. I told you about this the other day.
Yeah.
Charleston Southern.
Yeah, I think you'll have a lot of fans like this guy that you were talking about that say, you know what, it's not worth me driving the 3 hours, from the coast or Charleston or 5 hours if you're going, to Earl Beach or something like that. It's not worth it. I can sit home and drink my, you know, beer or whatever you want and not have to deal with traffic, with gas, with all this stuff to watch what everyone assumes is an average team play an awful team. I mean, this Charleston Southern team is bad. They won last week 3-0 against South Carolina State on a last second field goal. Now, this is a awful, awful Charleston Southern team. So you should feel good if you're a Tiger fan. Do you feel good enough to actually show up to the game?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think you're going to see a lot of empty seats Saturday. If they rebound and play well Saturday and play well next weekend against Florida Atlantic, it'll be a packed house when Florida State comes to town. Let's say they don't play very well. let's say they rebound and beat the tar out of Charleston Southern as Charleston Southern. Let's say they have some minor struggles with Florida Atlantic, still look a little sloppy. Do we see any empty seats for Florida State?
Well, I doubt it because I guarantee you Florida State fans will come out of the woodwork and they'll gobble up all those seats. In fact, I was in a local grocery store here just a couple hours ago, and they had the little, not sure what they're called, but the little tiny pumpkins, and they had, half of them are decorated with tiger paws, and the other half, guess what? They didn't have Gamecock symbols on. They had FSU. And this is in Duncan, South Carolina, where you wouldn't think that.
Hey, there's a lot of that's a national brand. Florida State fans are everywhere. It wouldn't shock me to see a ton of them in Death Valley come 2 weeks. I mean, not even necessarily traveling from Tallahassee. Their fans are pretty scattered, so that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I guarantee you that if they can get a ticket, they'll head their local Walmart and get themselves some Florida State stuff and come on. Hard Time gets in and says every home game is worth it. You only get 6 or 7 a year. You better enjoy the experience while we're able to. Won't always be able to go. That is what Dabo says every time. He says, you only get 6 or 7 of these games in the Valley a year. That's 6 days out of 365 that you get to experience the hill, that you get to tailgate, that you get to eat, not great press box food, that you get to, uh,
That macaroni
feel.
and cheese we ate last weekend at Duke to smell like peanut butter.
Oh yeah, that was nasty. But yeah, I mean all that stuff. You only get to do this, you know, a like Hard Time says at home 6 times a year, and if you count every game, you're only guaranteed 12. So that should make it worth it. You know, I have, or I know people who would love to go to games, that just either for financial reasons or personal reasons can't make it happen. And so to see empty seats at any game is disheartening.
Yeah, if you're not gonna go, I don't know why you don't just give them away. If you can't sell them, give them away to somebody who'll use them, because there's a lot of people that would like to go who have kind of been priced out. Even though the tickets for this weekend are extremely cheap, man. My kid was telling me how cheap they were on the secondary markets. But in general, yeah, I agree. If you're not going to go, give them away if you can't sell them. But there's a lot of people that still feel like Hard Time here. They're going to be there, man, through thick and thin, whether they're 10-0 or 5-5. They'll be there. But then on the other hand, there are some that just aren't going to do it. They're just not going to put the time in if they don't feel like the product on the field is worth that time. Like it goes back to what I said earlier. Everybody looks at it differently. Everybody's got a different perspective. Not all fans are created equal.
Yeah, I think what you're seeing is you have a large uh, portion of the fan base that has been around through thick and thin, through Ken Hadfield, through Tommy West through Tommy Brown and all that. And then you have another section of the fan base who really just started watching the Tigers and kind of coming into being a fan in the 2014, 2015, and 16 years. And I think that's the newer fans who aren't used to this, who didn't have to suffer through the Ken Hatfield and Tommy Rush years, who who have not seen Clemson get curb stomped by Georgia in a year, or FSU and what they used to do to Clemson. I mean, how quickly forget those trips to Tallahassee and Florida State used to come to Clemson. It was an absolute bloodbath. I mean, they could name their score and they were going to hit it. So I think, these new fans are a little spoiled or can't, handle a tiny, uh, a tiny small percentage of losing.
Yeah. It just depends on the fan. It's like my kid. My kid she's just turned 15, right? All she knows is Clemson being a national power. That's all she knows. She texted me during the Duke game the other night, asked me what was she watching. She's not used to that. Some of these newer fans aren't, especially the real, the younger ones, such as the teenagers. They don't remember Clemson in the early days, and back during Tommy Bowden and before that, Ken Hatfield and Tommy West and all that. They don't know much about that stuff. They have not experienced losing. And this generation coming up right now, it's a lot harder to hold their attention. They have very short attention spans. If they're anything like my kids, anyways, start losing, you lose their attention quick.
Well, some of the national media has already, kicked Clemson to the curb. However, there is one guy who said Clemson is not dead yet. Let's hear from him.
The turnaround insane. And now with Dabo, he's maybe third, fourth in ACC, let alone everywhere else. Is he going to get him back? And is this the new Clemson?
I don't think it's a new Clemson. If you look how last season ended and what happened in this game, there's reason to, question what the heck's going on with him. I think we all thought the change of offensive coordinator and quarterback with Clemson coming in was going to get them going in a good direction. There were kind of high expectations. I just wanted to let everybody know the team that they played won 8 games last year. Mike Elko is a great coach.
Yeah.
You could see the difference in attitude and the way they've done a job in recruiting and bringing in some portal guys. They're flying on defense. So I think Duke will end up being a good team. I love their quarterback, Riley Leonard. I loved him before that game. Love him that much more after that game. So they played a good team on the road. This isn't cash all your chips. That's it. That stock's dead on Clemson.
Okay.
They got a lot of work to do. Garrett Riley is the guy that led TCU, Max Duggan, all the way to the national championship a year ago. Guy knows what he's doing, but that didn't look like his offense last night. So there's a few things there. You and I were texting a little bit back and forth. They had a run of some receivers. Go back to T. Higgins, going way back to DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Williams. And they had some great guys, Hunter Renfro. I mean, they just had, it seems like everybody that played receiver at Clemson went to the NFL. And then they've recruited incredibly well at that position over the last 5 years. But if you watch them, you haven't seen that. That you haven't seen NFL difference makers at receiver. So while we all want to look at quarterback, I'm kind of looking at what's around that quarterback. They've never been a dominant offensive line. They've had really good backs in the past with Travis Etienne type guys. Shipley's good. I don't know if he's like hold your breath, game changer good. The receivers are solid, but not NFL guys, that strike fear in your heart. So they got to come up with a plan that's going to open up this offense a bit and give Cade Klubnik a chance, a guy that can run it and throw it. I don't think it's done. I don't think Clemson screwed. The season's over. They got a couple games to be able to win over the next. They have Charleston Southern and FAU, so they're going to win 2 games, and then they got Florida State. And the Florida State team we saw the other night, against that team we saw last night, you like Florida State's chances, right? So they've got to right the ship in these next 2 games, and they get ready for a very talented Florida State team that comes to Death Valley. They're not going to Tallahassee. They come to Death Valley, and by then they should be 2-1 and playing with more confidence and at home at night. And if you can win that game, then everybody's talking differently about you.
Yeah, a lot of season left. We're going to call you back, Herbie, on our end.
So Herb, there. So Hurry is not giving up on Tigers yet. I think he made some good points. He also, I'm not sure if you heard at the end there, he gave a little hint as to the game time. He says going to a night game, which, I have heard that even though Clemson lost to Duke, that game is still game day worthy in their eyes, and they are one of the top spots that outside of Ohio State and Notre Dame, who ESPN has no deal with, and you find it hard to see them going to a school that they have absolutely zero interest in from a financial standpoint. Game day, Clemson 2-1. They ranked 17, 18. Based on what happens the next 2 weeks. I mean, are you buying what he's selling there?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't think the season's over after 1 game by any stretch. I mean, I know people want to believe that this is the same exact offense Clemson was running last year. That ain't true. I think you got some issues you got to work out. On the offensive side of the ball. I think it starts with Cade Klubnik and his being a little bit better in the pocket, being a little bit more aware in the pocket, and having a little bit more patience with some of these plays. They got to start figuring out a way to pick up more chunk plays, because you can't dink it and dunk it all night long and expect to have the kind of success that they want to have. Again, I touched on it last night. I think the wide receivers are catching way too much flack for what happened Monday night. I saw windows open to throw in. There's a couple of times we saw guys running wide open and Klubnik doesn't even look their way. You got to step up into the pocket. You can't keep continuously drifting back and looking for your check down man, instantaneously almost. Makes the receivers look worse than they were. And I'm not saying the receivers played some masterful game or anything. I'm just saying maybe they're catching a little bit more flack than they earned. I think that makes the offensive line look a little bit worse than it played. And I think he'll get better. I think the more experience he gets, the better he'll be. It just looks like the game's still a tad too fast for him right here, right now, today. And I think the next 2 weeks will give him a lot of opportunity to kind of get up to speed in a better way than he is right now.
So yeah, you Kate Klubnik. I wanted to hit on some of these passing game issues because I was looking at these stats. Okay, I have them uh, yanked up here, and Dabo said last night that he is so proud of his offense. He take that offensive output every game this year, and however, K Klubnik, out of all the QEs in the nation, is currently ranked 74th in passing yards with 409, or I'm sorry, 209. And here is the kicker. He is not even in the top 100 in yards per completion. In yards per completion, he averaged 4.9 yards. That is not going to get it done against FAU, against FSU, against South Carolina, against NC State. There is not one team on the schedule that, throwing for less than 5 yards a completion will get it done. He also completed, let's see, 62% of his passes, which if you go off, Streeter last year, he said 60% was their goal. Not sure how that has changed with Garrett Riley. There are some serious issues with Cade Klubnik. And so my question is, if you get on CSU and FAU, do you leave Cade and some of these receivers in the game longer and just tell the coach, before the game, look, I am not trying to run it up, but we have to get, stronger in these areas. And so, we are going to leave our guys in longer. Or does he do like he has done in the past? And as soon as the game gets in control, you start to see these guys, the receivers from Daniel and Seneca High School in the game, and then just taking the air out of you all.
I think you probably see Cade play a little bit longer if the game gets out of hand. I'm not saying he plays all 4 quarters, but maybe a few more series than he normally would. He needs it. He needs those live bullets. He needs those live reps. On the other side of that, I want to see some of those younger receivers. I want to see Noble Johnson. I want to see Ronan Hannafin. I want to see more Tyler Brown. They're talking about redshirting Johnson and Hannafin. Heck, even let's say Tink Kelly. He's got some twitch. He's got some wheels. He's playing receiver this year. Let's see a little bit of him. Stellato's another one. Anything to inject, some life into the downfield passing game. What you saw Monday night is just not going to get it done. A large majority of those passes were 10. They didn't travel 10 yards in the air. A bunch of them were thrown behind the line of scrimmage. Again, he's too quick to go to the check down, but there were a lot of screens called too. This is Garrett Riley's offense. His screen passes are they're going to be there. He relies heavily on them, but you've got to find a way to get the downfield stuff going, to get the chunk plays going, because if you can't pick up chunk plays, you're just putting that much more pressure on your offense, because you got to have 9, 10, 11. You got to have those longer sustained drives, and the longer the drives, the more snaps your offense taking, the more opportunities to have to make a mistake. You just got to be more explosive, period.
Absolutely. Last thing is, I want to know from you, because you are the recruiting guru. You are our, Yoda, or whoever you want to say, when it comes to recruiting, our Obi-Wan Kenobi. Does the lack of a great, showing Monday have any negative effect on the recruits?
I don't think one game has too much impact one way or another. Now, if these issues continue to persist throughout the season, now we're going to have a different discussion, because it's going to have an impact. Clemson's lack of production in the passing game the past 2 years has had an impact on the recruiting trail. You've got two dynamic wideouts already committed, TJ Moore, Brian Wesker. I think they're solidly on board. I've not heard anything to suggest anything different. But you get halfway into the season and your offense is still sitting here sputtering after you brought in a new coordinator, after you've got a new quarterback. You might have to do some damage control with some of these guys, and that might not be enough. It could lead to some guys saying, "Hey, man, I got to find a better opportunity somewhere else, because what you guys are doing isn't working." But again, I'm just playing what if here. I don't think one game hurts too much. I had somebody send me a picture of something from some national recruiting guy today, talking about how Texas is still after Corey and Gibson. Look, Texas is going to stay on Corey and Gibson, the blue chip corner he's from Texas. They're never going to stop recruiting him. He's always a guy worth to keep, it's worth at least keeping one eye on. I've not heard any rumblings about him decommitting or anything like that. But, it's going to be interesting to see how the next few weeks play out, because it could lead to some potential issues with some of these guys, because Clemson's got some very talented playmakers committed in this class, not just those two wideouts. Christian Betancourt at tight end, he's one of the best tight ends in the country. And the guy I talked about earlier gives Gideon Davidson a running back. I mean, you had them two with TJ Moore and Brian Wesker. Those are four dynamic guys. I'm not sure Clemson signed four guys like that at the skill spots in the same class in at least a couple years now.
Well, it is definitely something to keep an eye on, and something else to keep an eye on is our new subscription side to the site, Clemson Tigers. You can get in right now. It is dirt cheap, Death Valley domain. We have columns, interesting stuff, insider news, Jason's recruiting stuff will be there. Okay. Also, we are going to host a Tiger Happy Hour, where we invite the members into a live chat that is going to just be for them. So if you haven't done it, go ahead and join. It's only $4.99. It is the cheapest subscription out there. However, you are getting the biggest bang for your buck, because we are going to fill that with so much great content, and you'll have opportunities that you will not get anywhere else as long as you're a member is $4.99 a month or $49 a year. It is so cheap. However, that's the way that we want it. When we discussed, this while, we said first, we are not going to go away from providing free content. However, we did want to give those of you loyal followers out there who want a little something extra, a little, nugget here or there, or to interact more, you know, that opportunity. So go check that out. It's on the website, allclemsontigers.com. Also, do not forget, tomorrow evening, 4:30, live CSU pregame show from Magnetic South. I'll be there. Jason's going to be sitting right there. And I think, Brad is still recovering from COVID, so he is going to be virtual. However, we are going to have a blast. We even have this segment coming. Yeah, little are we smarter than Zach. So we'll do all that tomorrow afternoon at 4:30 and get you ready for the Tigers and the CSU Buccaneers. Jason, anything you want to add? Any diaper updates or?
So actually, she is outside of about 5 minutes there where she was over there banging on the wall. She's kind of laid here at my feet the entire show, which is very, very atypical.
Yeah, I was gonna say last night, when we signed off, you said something that shocked me, that your dog is using cloth diapers that you have to stick a maxi pad on.
Inside of it. Yeah. The cover where the tumor's ruptured.
Yeah.
And she actually last night I had run out of the pads. And I tell you yesterday, I'm not going to the store and buying maxi pads. I had a couple of disposable pet diapers in here that I put inside the cloth diaper. And she had pulled that thing out, man, and chewed it up, and it was all over the bed. And damn.
Jason, it is 2023. You can go and get, some maxi pads for your dog or for you or
Sound like my
town.
wife and both my daughters. They said, "You can go get." I said, "Yeah, that's a hard pass. I am not going to buy Max. I'll do a lot of things, but I'm not going to buy Max pads."
Yeah, exactly. I am not sure I'm giving you hell over this. I have, 4 women in this house, and I do not, if talk of any of that stuff even starts, I just cover my ears and go, ah.
Exactly. I leave the room. I don't even want to talk about it.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, they want to say how, rough it is and how awful it is. I say, well, hell, it's your fault. I mean, Eve, if she hadn't messed with that apple in the Garden of Eden, then y'all wouldn't have these problems.
Yeah, I'm like you, man. When I don't even want to hear nothing about that stuff. TMI, TMI. I am your father. I am not your friend.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Please do us a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Share this on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you are watching. Okay? It helps us immensely to continue to fund and and do this type of stuff. Also, check out Death Valley Domain on ClemsonTigers.com, and be sure to check us out tomorrow afternoon at 4:30, Magnetic South Anderson. I think that's everything, man. Can you think of?
We will see y'all tomorrow at 4:30.
Yeah, yeah. And Jason will be back with your live show Monday night, right?
Back Monday night after the 1 week hiatus. Although I would have loved to have been able to do it after that Duke game. That would have been so much fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, hard time. I agree with you. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It is completely free. And you know what happens? If you subscribe, Clemson wins the national title. So, yeah. Anyway, we will be back on the radio show at 7 o'clock Tuesday night, getting you ready for FAU and recapping Charleston Southern. We'll also have clips from Dabo and players, so be sure to tune into that. For all you fans out there, stay safe, all right? We'll get through this together. Just, hold hands and kumbaya and help Jason get some maxi pads.
I'm stocked up now. I made the kid go get some.
I heard that.
And then she brought home the wrong kind.
Hang on, there's a right kind?
That's what I did. Who knew? I didn't know. Apparently, there's some are thicker than others. Apparently, I don't know. I'm not getting into all those details. I don't even want to know.
All right, well, listen, if you want to hear more about the trials and tribulations of Jason's maxi pad situation, you can also watch tomorrow evening because we will hit that. Yeah.
Few more days of that, and it's gonna be over. I didn't even mention all that crap I was doing earlier today. I had a stop by the vet. She's getting cut Wednesday. Coming out. Finally found a vet that would do it.
Well, see that right there is going to.
No more maxi pads after that.
Yeah, hard time says real man I has.
Yeah, I ain't a real man then. I just can't do it.
Listen,
I could see myself heading up to the Dollar General or the CVS or the Timmonsville Pharmacy down the road and going up to the counter. And usually when you get to a Dollar General, you got some, just plain Jane, probably buck tooth, missing a tooth chick at the register. But on this day, it would be this hot mama. What are you doing buying maxi pads? Nah, I ain't taking that chance.
Yeah, well, you could just be honest and say, look, I use them for myself.
Hey, I wouldn't have to tell her that. She would already think I'd be using them on myself for something.
All right, for Jason, I am Zach. Thank you all for getting in. Thank you so much for the support. And we will see you tomorrow afternoon at 4:30.